Can you walk me through like the as is state of how dApps use wallets to verify ownership? I kind of like to start there and get a little bit of a walkthrough, and then walk through in more detail how token proof is looking at that future state. Could you do that for us?
Yeah, of course. So your digital wallet connects to a node in the blockchain, right? And there's a lot of like node providers, cloud node providers like Infura and Alchemy that run those nodes for you, because you don't necessarily want to run your own node. There's reasons why you may, but even MetaMask runs through one of these providers. And so once you connect your wallet to one of these apps or services, your Ethereum address is ran through that node to verify that you own certain assets, right? And if you own those assets, then you can proceed. And that wallet can also send instructions through that node to execute transactions on the blockchain. And so that's why we're all able to transact using different different wallets, whether it's MetaMask, Trust Wallet, Rainbow Wallet, Coinbase Wallet. But in the end, all of these wallets transact through a node in the blockchain, whether they host it themselves or whether they use a third-party provider for that node, right? And every transaction that you execute on the blockchain requires your private key, and your private key is the most important thing that controls your assets. A lot of people think, and this is a misconception, that your actual tokens are stored in your wallet, and that's not true. Even if you have a hardware wallet like a Ledger or a Trezor, there's no tokens living there. It's not like files on a USB drive. The only thing that lives within those devices, and even if it's a software wallet, it's your private key. And your private key is what controls your blockchain account. And if you lose access to your key, it's literally like being locked out of your home because you lost your physical key. It's exactly the same thing. And that's why you want to keep your seed phrase in a safe location, right?
So I'm like picturing houses stacked on top of each other. Let's say there's like literally hundreds of houses stacked on top of each other, and everyone can see those houses. And in my hardware wallet, which I have access to that private key, I can only get into one of those houses with my hardware wallet. Like I have my key. Everyone can see them. They're out in the public, and they're not in my wallet. That's kind of how you're describing that.
That's exactly right. And that's also why you can control the same blockchain account through different wallets simultaneously. For example, you could have your MetaMask on your browser and Trust Wallet on your phone and still interact with the same blockchain address or blockchain account, because your actual tokens don't live in wallets. Your tokens live in the blockchain, but they're controlled by your wallets or your private key.
Yeah, interesting. And with those wallets, like when you connect to a website and you click connect and you click sign, is that, and maybe it's different in different cases, but when you click sign, that's essentially putting your private key in the lock and turning it, right? And saying, like, this is me.
That's exactly right. And so it's literally a signature that is generated from your private key and that you're able to validate with your public key. Think of your public key as your Ethereum address that is public and everybody knows it, right? And so there needs to be a match between that digital signature using algorithms. And so that public key needs to match with the private key, and that's how you validate a digital signature.
Yeah. And when you sign into a lot of those dApps, is that signing where a lot of these malicious attacks can come from, or is just connecting to a dApp not necessarily enough to expose your private key and your assets?
Connecting is not going to do anything. So connecting, if you connect your wallet to token proof, it doesn't even prove that you're the real owner of that wallet. The only thing that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that you're the real owner of that wallet is if you sign a message with your private key, because that is able to be verified at a cryptographic level, right? So connecting wallets is zero risk. Signing a message is the next step in risk, right? Because we've seen some scams, although it's unlikely that you'll get scammed just by signing a message, but we have seen some scams where even by signing a message, you're able to lose funds. This is something that we saw earlier this year, where I think you were being tricked into signing a sell order that was then transferred to a marketplace like OpenSea, and it was basically this document that said, hey, Josh is allowing the sale of this token, when in reality you didn't intend to do that, right? Signing messages it's some risk. And you got to be careful in what you sign, and you obviously have to be careful in what you connect to anyway. And the next step in risk is actually executing a transaction in the blockchain, and that's where a lot of people, the majority of people, get scammed. Is you execute a transaction that allows for a scammer to make use of your funds or your tokens, and that's what's called a set approval, or a set approval for all, right? And you'll see it sometimes in MetaMask, and that's where you got to really be careful.
You're listening to the Unstoppable Podcast, the go-to place for everyone to learn about the latest innovations in Web3, NFTs, and the decentralized web. Welcome to the metaverse.